Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2025 Canadian Grand Prix, one of my favourite races of the season. I don't know what it is, but I really do love this track and it is always a race I look forward to. Oh, and at the risk of jinxing the entire weekend right from the start of this preview, it has given us some great races over the years, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we get a cracker this weekend. But anyway, last time out F1 was in Spain, where Oscar Piastri beat teammate Lando Norris to the win. Very much had the Brit in his pocket that weekend, didn't he, in the end? But now it is on to the wonderful 4.361 kilometre, that's 2.7 mile, 14 corner Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve for round 10 of the season. There will be 3 DRS zones in use this weekend, with the first running between turns 7 and 8 with its detection point just before turn 6. The second is just after the hairpin and runs all the way down that long back straight, and the final zone is down the start-finish straight. The final 2 zones, by the way, sharing the detection point on the exit of turn 9. Gotta say, it is a good job we have some DRS because it's not the easiest track to pass on. I mean, where is these days? Although it is also far from impossible to pass around Canada. The best spots include the first couple of corners where we often see cars side by side. The hairpin is arguably the outright best spot if a driver is confident they can keep their rival behind down the long back straight. And whilst it's much tougher than it used to be, the final chicane can present an opportunity, but realistically drivers need to be well alongside before the braking zone if they want to make it stick. Get that chicane wrong though, and you might just end up in that infamous wall of champions. Oh, and on the subject of, getting things wrong, maybe don't do a 1998 Alex Verts at the start. By the way, this picture on screen now is one of my favourites of all time. What a shot. Since the track first joined the World Championship calendar in 1978, it has hosted a total of 43 races, with 24 different drivers taking victory in that time. Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton sharing the record for the most wins in Montreal with 7 apiece. Max Verstappen, who beat Lando Norris and George Russell to the win last year, has actually won the last 3 races in Montreal, but can he make it 4 this time around? It's going to be tough with those McLarens, but you never know. And this weekend, Haas will celebrate their 200th Grand Prix. Yes, already. Where has that time gone? And did you know that at the team's first ever F1 race in 2016, the magnificent Romain Grosjean secured a 6th place finish to pick up 8 points for the team, all whilst driving car number 8. Incredible achievement for a brand new team, it's got to be said. And as it turns out, that all serves me very well to this day, because 6 is also the number of dry tyre compounds in the Pirelli range, and 8, if we include the inters and the wets, is the total number of compounds in the whole Pirelli range. Oh yeah, that's right, it is a double segue into tyre talk time. You might grumble at that one, but think yourselves lucky I didn't go with 200 segues into tyre talk time. I did consider it. But anyway, the compounds available for this one are the softest in the ranges, so they are the hard C4, the medium C5, and the soft C6. Now, this track isn't all that abrasive on tyres, which is why we tend to see the softest nomination every year here. And that's actually despite the resurfacing that was carried out last year, the surface holding on to its low abrasive nature. Low grip is often a factor in Canada too, due to the fact the circuit is only ever used across an F1 weekend, so expect graining to be a big issue early in the weekend and for track evolution to be very high. Last year, strategy was affected by the rain, but for what it's worth, Max Verstappen took the win using a 2-stopper, running 2 sets of the intermediate tyres before switching to mediums on lap 45 and then ran those until the end of the race. The soft tyre, by the way, wasn't seen at all on Sunday in 2024, but a few drivers did prefer the hards once the track dried out, although the mediums were very much the way to go. In 2023, which was a totally dry race, drivers pitted twice again, with winner Verstappen starting on the mediums, switching to the hards on lap 12, and then back to the mediums on lap 42. Of course, I know the tyres have changed quite a bit since then, but I thought I'd mention a dry strategy too, just in case the rain stays away. On that note, that was almost a very tidy segue itself, wasn't it? The weather can be unpredictable and changeable at the Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve, as we've seen many times over the years. However, at time of recording, rain isn't expected to be a factor, with no more than a 20% chance currently forecast to hit the track at any stage this weekend. And the safety car, that could be a variable that really does love to make an appearance around Montreal, with 16 races featuring at least 1 and 38 deployments overall, including 6 in the infamous 2011 race. If you haven't seen that one, by the way, and you have a spare 4 hours, 4 minutes and 39 seconds, give it a watch. It is total madness. And your schedule for this one is an evening one here in the UK, across Europe and elsewhere too, of course. That means FP1 will get the weekend started on Friday from 6:30pm BST and will be followed by FP2 from 10pm. Saturday's action gets going with FP3 at 5:30pm with qualifying underway from 9pm. And it will be lights out for the race on Sunday at 7pm, and once again that is in UK time. No Formula 2 or Formula 3 this time around. However, F1 Academy will be there, so still lots of on-track action to look forward to. Now, before I make some predictions which will hopefully go better than the last lot, let's have a very quick run through a few of the news stories ahead of the weekend in Canada, and I will just fly through these because there are quite a few well worth a mention. First up, frustratingly, but understandably given they want to give him as much time as possible to recover before making a decision, there has been no official announcement at time of recording about whether or not No. Wow. Emails literally just come through as I said those words, so thank you, Aston, for at least getting there before I record the preview. Anyway, let's try that again. First up, Aston Martin have confirmed that Lance Stroll will be back for this weekend's Canadian Grand Prix. Just a quick reminder in case you forgot, Lance Stroll missed the Spanish Grand Prix due to a flare-up of wrist pain, apparently a hangover from 2023, having suffered with pain over several weeks before that became intolerable. There was a lot of talk about Stoffel Van Dorn, Felipe Drugovich, even Pedro De La Rosa maybe stepping in if needed, but having undergone a procedure following the race in Barcelona, a procedure carried out by Dr. Javier Mir, the same physician who took care of Stroll after his 2023 accident, the Canadian will be back in the car this weekend. So, Lance Stroll said, and I'll read the full quote here, "I am excited to get back behind the wheel with the team for my home Grand Prix this weekend. I was always going to fight hard to be ready to race in front of the Montreal crowd. I'm feeling good after my procedure and put some laps in at Paul Ricard this week to prepare. Thanks for all the support. See you guys this weekend." So Stroll has confirmed he is back. I don't want to speculate too much because it's the guy's health, so why would I? But it is worth noting that if he were to do FP1, for example, and struggled, Aston Martin would still have the time to swap him out later in the weekend if they felt they needed to. Hopefully, though, all will be okay and he'll be able to compete in Canada, of course, as I've already said, his home Grand Prix. Next up, the 2026 calendar has been announced and it was pretty much what we already knew or at least expected. The season will start in Australia once again, but a bit earlier on March 8th. The big changes, though, come in the form of the Canadian Grand Prix, which has been moved forward to May and follows Miami. However, there is a 3-week break between the two events because, why not? I mean, I assume climate, but anyway. And that also means it clashes with the Indy 500, not just the day, but there will also be an overlap between the races. Excellent planning. Apparently, though, it won't happen every year. Allegedly, it'll be once every 5 years, but we'll see what happens. Madrid will make its debut in September and will be the second of 2 races in Spain, Barcelona being held in June, and the season ends with 2 triple headers, and as always, the final race will be in Abu Dhabi. Moving on, and Arvid Lindblad has been granted his FIA Super Licence. He did already have the required number of licence points to earn one, but at 17 years old, he was too young to be automatically granted the licence required to take part in an F1 weekend, and so Red Bull applied for special dispensation. That was granted by the FIA, with the governing body saying, quote, "The driver has recently and consistently demonstrated outstanding ability and maturity in single-seater Formula car competition, and ultimately that is why they approved the request from Red Bull." And as mentioned earlier, Haas will celebrate their 200th race in Montreal, and to mark the milestone, they've unveiled a special livery for the weekend. And by special, I mean it is a return to the livery they used in their very first season, albeit a slightly tweaked version of it. It is a nice nod to the past, nothing spectacular, although, and maybe this is just me, but I think it looks better on the 2025 car than it did the 2016 car. Let me know what you think. Right then, time to make some predictions, and as always, please do not take these too seriously. They're just a little bit of fun, but if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comment section down below. And last time, well, they really couldn't have gone much better. Right on everything, maximum points, so I don't need to show you the graphic, right? Fine, okay, wrong on it all apart from half points for Piastri and Leclerc on the podium, but in the wrong order. Let's just move on. This time, well, McLaren are surely the team to back in Canada. As I pretty much expected, the new technical directive did nothing to close a gap at the front, on the face of it at least, and so unless we get some chaos, it is likely to be Norris versus Piastri, or Piastri versus Norris, with a sprinkling of Verstappen, Ferrari and Mercedes in there somewhere. I do think it'll be closer because this is a totally different challenge to Barcelona and some of its characteristics might suit others. But yeah, I'm going all in on McLaren and specifically Oscar Piastri, of course. I'll go with the Aussie for pole and the win with Lando Norris in P2. And as for the final step on the podium, it's between Max Verstappen or George Russell for me today. And I'm going to go with Verstappen, I think. Yeah, Verstappen. I have to say, even though all my predictions are bad, I really do struggle more with what happens behind the McLarens than anything else. But anyway, behind the leaders, I'll say that the third best finishing team on Sunday will be Mercedes. As for some bolder picks, I don't have to say Alonso for points anymore because he's finally done it. Yes, Alonso has points. That's all I wanted. Sorted. So let's find someone else to obsess over when it comes to points. So let's go with Franco Colapinto picking up P10 on Sunday and gets his first points of 2025. Why not? Perhaps not bold given how well he's doing, but Isaac Hadjar for top 6 in the race. And let's see if Sauber can build on a fantastic Spanish Grand Prix with a double Q2 appearance on Saturday in Montreal. That is it for the Canadian Grand Prix preview then, but don't forget you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comments section down below. Now, I will be back live on Saturday and Sunday with the qualifying and race watch-alongs, but in the meantime, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like as it really does help to give the channel a little bit of a boost, and consider subscribing too so you don't miss any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.